My name's David, and the Chronological Bible reading for June 12th is 1 Kings 7 and 2 Chronicles chapter 4. Notice how it took Solomon 13 years to complete all of these buildings with such perfect specificity, using the most highly skilled artisans in the known world. This is not just a history lesson about the temple and the surrounding buildings. This is also giving us a spiritual insight into the temple that is being constructed on the earth in our day. First Peter says that we are the living stones and that God is fashioning us together as he sees fit. Paul tells us in Ephesians that Christ is the cornerstone, the apostles and prophets are the foundation, and the entire church is being built together upon them. So when we read verses like 1 Kings chapter 7 verse 9 that says, all these buildings were of costly stones, think of yourself as being one of those costly stones. You are precious. You are made for a specific purpose. You have a role to play, and it's incredibly important that you do it. The stones were cut to size. They were fashioned together. They were sawed with the inner surfaces and the outer surfaces being perfectly hewn so that they would fit together. From the foundation to the very tip of the roof, everything was melded perfectly. The stones were dressed, laden with gold, and virtually immovable. King Solomon had Hiram, brought from Tyre. We are told in verse 14 was a widow's son. We're not given the name of his father or his mother. And yet here he is fashioning the emblems that adorn the temple of the Most High God. And his name has been preserved for all people all around the world. And everyone who reads the Bible will know that this Hiram was the most skilled artisan in the entire known world 3,000 years ago. Many of you had dreams in your heart about making a lasting impact to the culture and to the world around you, maybe even affecting generations to come. But life events like the loss of a loved one seem to threaten that very dream that you have within you. This is a reminder for all of us to think back to the dream and dwell on that rather than the circumstances that seem to be trying to choke the life out of the dream that God placed in your heart. Many of you are just like Hiram. You have something to offer the world that no one else has. You are special. Your gifting is special. The way you see the world is special, and no one else sees it and can impact it the way you do. So even if you seem to have lost everything and nobody puts stock in who you are or what it is you are called to do, nobody sees the benefit of what you bring to the table, carry on. God placed it within you for a reason, and he will bring to completion that good work that he began in you so long ago. Hiram created these huge 27-foot tall pillars and the capstones that went above them. He dressed them, carved pomegranates and lions and palm trees on them. He made a huge basin that held 11,000 gallons of water that was used for cleansing the sacrifice. These pillars, they were named Boaz and Yachin, which means he will establish, and in him is strength. So the very pillars that hold up this temple are named with names that remind us that all of the power comes from God. All of our faith must be in God. In him is strength, and he will establish. The very beginning of it all must come from God. Everything that we do must be based upon the work that God is doing within us. We can't do anything in our own strength. He must establish it. He must lay the foundation for it. And the strength to keep it going has to come from him, because strength is in him. Notice that when somebody came to this altar, which was inlaid with gold, everything that person needed to offer their sacrifice was provided for them in the temple. It was all done. All they had to do was show up and give what they had of value that God required from them. And the same is true today. We don't have to create anything. We don't have to force anything. We show up and give him the gifts that he has already placed within our care. We don't have to create anything for him. We just offer back to him the things that he's already given to us. When Solomon finished all of the work, he brought in the consecrated items that were passed down to him from his father David, and he brought them in to God's house, giving back to God the things that had been entrusted to him. It is time that we, as God's people, give back to him the things that he has entrusted to us. Many of you have been attacked in the areas where God most wants to use you. God has given you a voice that's based in a perspective that sees him, that hungers for him, and that longs to set things right. Offer that back to him. Satan will want to attack you in the area where you are most called. If you have a speaking gift, God will allow that to be refined through the attacks of the enemy, and he will try to pollute your mouth. If you have a gift of helping other people financially, Satan will try to attack your finances, and through that, God will allow you to use those experiences to learn about fiscal responsibility, to learn about when to give and when not to give. The thing you are most passionate about is the area Satan is going to attack you, and God will allow it, and the purpose of it is a refining. There is no way to offer God more glory than for us to willingly give him the things that we care most about. What is it that is most important to you? Perhaps it is your children, and God is calling your children to do great things for his glory, and in order for them to walk in that, they need you to release them back to the Father. May God bless you, my friends. May he fill you with this Spirit. May he give you wisdom and insight into these things. May you have the faith to give back to him the things he requires of you. May you lay before him on the altar of his glory those things which are most important to you, so he can bless them and use them and create a beautiful legacy through that offering. To God be the glory. See you tomorrow.